No matter how much I try to build a good relationship with Emily, she always speaks rudely to me and acts sarcastically. When my husband and I eagerly went to Sophie's 5th birthday party, the cake and meal Emily prepared were only for 3 people.
Emily, what about our meal?
There's only enough for the family.
What?
I don't have food for stingy people. She waved the gift envelope I had just given her.
Giving $1,000 for your granddaughter's celebration, are you kidding?
My dad gave $4,000.
At least $2,000 is the norm. I thought it was a standard amount.
I've had enough.
Can we cut ties after today?
Emily said this with a beaming smile.
My parents are enough for me.
We don't need you guys.
In fact, you're in the way.
My husband, Dan, and I looked at each other.
Shall we go home?
Yeah. I clenched my fist. No more patience. I'll make her regret ruining Sophie's birthday and treating us badly. I'm Barbara, a 60-year-old housewife living with my husband, Dan. I work part-time at a restaurant. Since our eldest son, Mike, landed a job at a big corporation, we felt a weight lifted off our shoulders. On weekends, Dan and I enjoy going to movies and traveling, just the two of us. Dan is kind, and Mike is considerate and serious. I felt blessed, but secretly worried about Mike not showing any interest in marriage even in his late 20s. I wanted to be called grandma someday, but I understood that many young people nowadays choose not to marry. Just when I was about to give up, Mike brought his fiancée home. She was Emily, the daughter of a well-known local business family. They met at a cafe near Mike's workplace. Emily, not keen on office work, was working there part-time for social experience, as her cousin would take over her father's business. She seemed like a beautiful and capable woman, the kind to take the lead with Mike. After they got married, they had a daughter, Sophie, the next year. Living in an apartment in the same city, they visit us during holidays, bringing Sophie along. Dan and I adored Sophie immensely. And Emily seemed happy to see this. But our initially good relationship with Emily started to crack, beginning with her requests. As usual, the family came to visit. Taking advantage of Dan and Mike going shopping, Emily confided in me.
Sophie has sensitive skin, so we have to be careful with clothes. Good quality ones are pretty expensive.
Was she hinting for me to buy baby clothes? I wondered. Mike earns well above the average salary for men in their 30s. If he knew she wanted to buy clothes for Sophie, he'd surely agree without a second thought. Maybe they're saving for the future and don't want to spend from the household budget. Also, I thought her family was wealthier than ours, but maybe it's hard to ask her parents for money.
Emily, do you want some clothes?
Hesitantly, I asked, and Emily's face lit up instantly.
Yes, I love this brand. It's so cute. Famous actresses often dress their kids in it.
She showed me a picture on her phone, and I was stunned. A short-sleeve t-shirt was $140, a lace dress $200, and brand logo ballet shoes an astonishing $2,000.
Emily, isn't that a bit extravagant for folks like us?
I gently chided, but Emily's eyes flashed as she retorted.
Don't you think Sophie's adorable? I don't mind wearing thrift store clothes, but I want my daughter to wear the best.
Overwhelmed by her passion, I ended up buying her high-brand clothes and shoes as she begged. I didn't feel comfortable telling Dan, so I kept it to myself. I bought them with my own salary, so it's okay, right? I excused myself internally. After that, I continued to give her clothes and shoes for events like birthdays, Christmas, separate from other gifts. But one thing puzzled me. Whenever the clothes arrived, Emily always sent a thank you message, but she never posted a photo of Sophie wearing them. One weekend, while having lunch with a friend, I shared this with her. She thought for a moment, then showed me a flea market website.
Is this?
I exclaimed in surprise. The same items I gave Emily were listed 2 days after I sent them.
The same items you bought for your daughter-in-law? Yes, the spring limited edition, no doubt. And they're unopened. I always shop here for kids' clothes, so I keep an eye on it. This brand is popular, so unopened items sell for a good price.
My friend said, frowning.
I remember this seller's username, it's unique. They list high-brand items several times a year. Maybe they're selling gifts they received.
I felt bitter. This could be a coincidence if it happened just once. But if it keeps happening, it's safe to assume Emily is secretly selling the clothes I send. Or perhaps she's been having me buy them with the intention of selling them all along. As I kept checking the website, I noticed that 2 days after I sent clothes, the same items would always appear, listed under the same username. Last Thanksgiving, when I visited my eldest son and his wife, I finally told Emily.
I'm gonna stop sending clothes after this time.
Why? Emily puffed her cheeks.
Dan's against it. Says they're too pricey for kids' clothes. But don't worry, we'll still give toys and gift cards like before.
I explained, having discussed this belatedly with Dan. Dan agreed with me.
Emily's a stay-at-home mom, she's probably selling the clothes for extra cash. If it's hard to say no, just use my name. Thanks, I'll do that.
Sure enough, when I mentioned Dan's name, Emily swallowed her complaint. She's not comfortable with quiet Dan.
Fine. But your husband's stingy.
She spat out bitterly, but after that, she stopped asking me for kids' clothes. There were other troubling things about Emily's behavior. She's either germophobic or just doesn't like me. Whenever I tried to touch Sophie, she insisted I wash and sanitize my hands. Furthermore, when I visited Emily in Mike's apartment, Emily would follow me around with an alcohol spray in hand, promptly disinfecting any place I touched. Even in these times sensitive to infections, being treated like a germ was unpleasant. As my distrust of Emily grew, she suddenly called me. Surprised, I answered, and Emily said cheerfully, "We're gonna have a birthday party for Sophie. Would you and Dan like to come celebrate with us?"
Really? Is that okay?
I asked back, surprised.
Usually, we invite her kindergarten friends, but this year, we already celebrated with kids who have birthdays close to hers.
So, we thought we'd invite you and Dan. How about next Sunday?
We're free. Thank you, we'll be there.
I was delighted since I usually sent the presents by mail.
Is the doll she wanted before okay for a present? Or should I get a gift card? Could you make it cash this time? Understood.
I consulted with Dan and wrapped $1,000, then headed to Mike and Emily's apartment the following Sunday. In their living room, stylishly decorated with pastel balloons and garlands, stood Sophie, shyly smiling, wearing a pink dress and a ribbon in her hair.
"Grandpa, Grandma, thanks for coming to my birthday party,"
Sophie said, bowing slightly. Dan and I couldn't help but smile warmly. She always looked cute, but today she was like an angel or a fairy. "Thank you for inviting us. Turning 5 today, you're a big girl now."
"Yeah, I'm a big girl now."
Her confident response was adorable.
"Mom, Dad, thanks for coming."
Mike appeared, and Dan and I gasped. It had been months since we last saw him. He looked much thinner and had dark circles under his eyes.
"Have you lost weight? Busy with work?" Yeah.
Mike's vague smile made me uneasy.
"Mike, you're keeping up with your health checkups at work, right?" "Yeah, I am." "Oh, sorry, I've got a call from work."
He stepped into the hallway, ended the call quickly, and returned.
"I gotta go to the office. I'll be back by evening. Emily, please order dinner for Mom and Dad too."
"Okay." As Mike hurriedly left, Emily brought in a pizza and a whole birthday cake to the dining table. "Daddy's gone to work, so let's eat first," she said, cutting the bear-shaped cake into 3 pieces. 3 pieces? I noticed that Emily had set out only 3 plates and sets of cutlery. In front of a puzzled Dan and me, Emily transferred the pizza onto plates.
"Emily, what about ours?"
I asked, confused.
"There's only enough for the family."
"What?"
"I don't have food for stingy people,"
she said, almost singing, waving the envelope I had just handed her.
"A $1,000 gift for your granddaughter's birthday, are you kidding? My dad gave $4,000. At least $2,000 is the norm." I thought it was a normal amount.
She looked at me and laughed derisively. "Normal?"
"Oh, I guess for people working in small factories or part-time housewives, it's hard to give $1,000. My apologies."
"Hey!" Dan's face changed color, but Emily ignored him and kept talking in a mocking tone.
"Well, I knew this family was poor before we got married. The house is shabby, the interior old, and the whole family's stingy. It's almost funny how much this is a mismatched marriage. But it's worse than I expected."
Anger bubbled up inside me. Mismatched marriage? She was the one who pursued Mike and started their relationship. I shouldn't be treated this way.
So, I've always been thorough with disinfecting to prevent your poverty germs from spreading to us. It would be terrible if the daughter of a company president and Mike, working at a big corporation, got tainted with poverty.
That explains why. She was always vigorously wiping her hands with disinfectant wipes until her skin almost peeled.
But I've had enough. Can we cut ties after today?
Emily said this with a full smile towards Dan and me.
Just having my parents is enough. We don't need you guys. In fact, you're in the way.
Dan and I exchanged glances. I thought he would be angry, but he seemed more exasperated and detached than anything.
Shall we go home?
Yeah. As we headed to the entrance, feeling weary, Sophie came running after us, looking confused.
Grandpa, Grandma, are you leaving already?
I was looking forward to playing with you, Sophie said, tears starting to fall. My heart clenched. I kneeled and hugged her.
I'm sorry, dear. We're leaving today, but we'll come to see you again soon. Be good and listen to your mom and dad until then, okay?
Okay, I understand. As Dan patted Sophie's head, Emily stood behind him with her arms crossed, glaring at us. Dan and I left Sophie's place with heavy hearts. In the evening, Mike called me.
When I got home, Sophie's eyes were all swollen. Seems like she cried a lot after you two left.
Is that so?
Mom, you left because you had a stomachache, right? It can't be helped. Did you go to the doctor?
It's better now. Thank you. Mike's kindness warmed my heart. Compared to him, that daughter-in-law. After hanging up, I felt a surge of anger and clenched my fists. Emily probably doesn't care that Sophie was sobbing because she drove us away. No more patience. I'll make her regret treating us badly and ruining Sophie's birthday. Emily declared cutting ties, but she still seems to be playing nice in front of Mike. She hasn't left the family messaging app, so Dan and I can still communicate with Mike's family. So, I decided to use that to expose Emily's true nature to Mike. I waited for Mike's break time at work and posted the flea market site's screenshots to the group message. Emily immediately responded. Barbara, please delete that photo right now. Oh, Emily, I thought you were cutting ties with us. Right after my reply, a message from Mike appeared. Emily, what's this about?
Mike, don't believe her. Cutting ties is just a lie from your mother.
A lie. No, I'm talking about the clothes.
The clothes Mom gave Sophie, I never saw her wearing them.
Were you selling them on the flea market? Emily seemed shaken, not replying after reading the message.
And it's all of them, right? You had Mom buy them just to sell? I can't believe this. It's a coincidence. Just happened to be someone else selling the same clothes.
Mike pressed Emily as she tried to bluff.
That's your username, right? When I get home, I'm checking Sophie's closet.
You're insisting they're there, right?
I remembered. Sophie got them dirty right after I put them on her, so I threw them away.
All 20 outfits?
Selling all of them would easily make over $2,000, right?
Mike's message conveyed a quiet anger. After a while, a message from Mike to me appeared.
Mom, can you and Emily come to our house after work? I want to have a discussion, the four of us. Wait. I can't go. I have to take care of Sophie.
Emily panicked, but Mike replied.
I'll ask your parents, then. So, I'll be over after dinner. I gotta get back to work now.
Mike said, ending his messages. Immediately after, Emily called me.
Hey, old lady. Stop causing trouble.
Oh, you're so scary. I pretended to be intimidated by Emily's ranting, but she didn't lower her tone and continued to yell at me.
I told you we're cutting ties. Don't be so chummy in the family messages. That message was from Mike. You're the one who reacted on your own.
I snapped back. So, are you canceling your visit tonight? Mike will get suspicious, you know. Emily clicked her tongue on the other end and said in a low voice.
Fine, I'll come. But if you pull any more stunts, I won't let you see Sophie ever again. Remember that.
All right. See you tonight. After hanging up, Dan, who had been listening to the whole conversation, and I exchanged looks and smiled. That evening, Mike and Emily came to our house. Sophie had apparently been left with Emily's parents. Emily, radiating displeasure, didn't change her attitude even as the four of us sat at the dinner table. But she turned pale as soon as I laid out the photos. While she frantically gathered the photos and stuffed them into her skirt pocket, I placed the remaining ones in front of Mike. They were photos of Emily closely embracing a guy at a bar.
Where did you find these?
Emily glared at me with intense eyes. I explained with a smile.
A friend's daughter works at a cabaret club near the station. She told me that recently a woman named Emily has been making a scene at a bar she visited with her friends.
Emily stood out because she's as beautiful as a model.
I showed her your photo and she recognized you right away. I searched for the username you use on the flea market site on social media and found these images, I said as Mike picked up one of the photos.
His usually calm face now showed intense anger.
A bar, huh? Mike, there's a reason for this. You left Sophie with me after working overtime and spent your nights at places like this? All that helping a friend was a lie, wasn't it?
Emily swallowed her excuses at his icy tone. Mike sighed and covered his forehead with his hand.
So, you were selling the clothes Mom gave you to play around with some guy you met at the bar? No wonder your allowance was never enough for that. It's not like I was cheating or anything, so it's fine, isn't it?
Emily defiantly responded. I relaxed my mouth.
Well, there's more to come. By the way, Mike, did you bring what I asked?
Yeah. When Mike took out credit card statements and a bank passbook from his bag, Emily's eyes widened.
Don't take those out without asking. The card is mine, and the bank account is joint. It's fine to show them,
Mike said, dismissing her objections. Emily shut up, fuming. Mike spread both the credit card statement and the bank passbook on the table, and as soon as he saw them, he exclaimed, "Oh my." Dan and I also peered over, feeling the urge to cover our eyes at the sight. And no wonder. The credit card had a revolving credit balance of over $40,000. And the bank account showed just a few dollars.
No way! The card is maxed out, and all the money saved for Sophie's gifts is gone.
Mike was stunned, and Emily turned away, sulking.
Well, spending millions at a bar would burn through money quickly.
Mike finally exploded with anger.
Emily! You shouldn't touch a child's savings like that. Are you even a mother?
Shut up, all of you. Emily said dismissively, brushing her hair back.
What's wrong with me using your money, you stingy man?
She stood up and ranted at Mike.
Just so you know, I married you because you work at a big corporation. I thought I could spend money freely and live in luxury without working. But then we start living together, and it's all about saving for the kid, eating in to save money, ordering me around. Who do you think you are?
Mike's face stiffened. After a tense stare down with Emily, he let out a small sigh.
All right, let's get a divorce. I can't do this anymore. Since you've caused Mom so much distress, I'll ask for alimony too. Mutual distress. Fine, I'll ask Dad. He'll gladly pay the alimony and the card bills. I don't need any of you,
Emily said arrogantly, laughing in a shrill voice. I presented my phone to her.
Are you sure you should be saying that? Huh? Dad's company went bankrupt.
Emily's eyes widened in shock. She snatched my phone and stared at the screen, frozen.
It was on the local internet news just now. Haven't you heard anything from your dad? He mentioned something about having a tough time with finances due to the recession. But he always listened to my requests.
All of Emily's earlier bravado was gone. She had completely lost her color and was trembling in her voice. Then, her phone rang. Taking out her phone, Emily swallowed hard and answered the call.
Hey, Dad. The company hasn't really gone bankrupt, right? I'm sorry, I tried, but it was no good. So, sorry, I can't help you with money anymore.
Emily's face twisted dramatically. She looked like she was about to cry.
What? But that's going to be a problem.
Paying the employees is all I can manage. I'm retiring as president and will live leisurely with your mom, so you should get along with Mike and Sophie.
Emily's father was loud, so the whole conversation was audible.
Get along? I'm probably going to get a divorce.
Oh, really? Oh, I got a call from the bar. They asked when you're going to pay your $20,000 tab.
Emily's face contorted.
I was, thinking of asking Dad.
No, that's impossible.
Her father cut her off sharply.
You're 35, Emily. A proper adult. You need to figure this out yourself. Good luck.
Holding the disconnected phone, Emily looked completely drained. I delivered the final blow.
You know, Dan and I have been saving money for Sophie when she grows up. $200,000.
Emily's eyes widened as if they were about to pop out.
We didn't remodel our old house and saved by cutting back. I thought of giving it to you to pay your debts if you apologized and showed remorse for your past actions. We're useless to you, right? Then you don't need it.
Emily's mouth opened and closed like a fish, but she couldn't form words.
All right, this conversation is over. Goodbye.
Coldly stating this, Emily grabbed Mike's arm and begged with bloodshot eyes.
Mike, you won't abandon me, right? I was just joking about wanting a divorce. I'll apologize, let's continue to get along, for Sophie's sake, okay?
Mom, Dad, sorry for staying late. I'll discuss the divorce with Emily.
Mike said calmly, taking the frantic Emily home. Emily wanted Mike to reconsider, but of course, that didn't happen, and they ended up divorcing. Mike had to deal with the payments for the credit card he unknowingly shared with Emily, their joint bank account, her tab at the bar, and an additional $20,000 in alimony. Burdened with debts, Emily, unable to rely on her parents, reluctantly started working part-time jobs. Life became tough for Emily, and under the condition of not receiving child support, Mike took custody of Sophie. Afterward, Mike regularly allowed Sophie to meet Emily. Emily, working from early morning to late at night, had lost her former glamorous look and seemed rather shabby. I was freed from the days of being pestered for money and subjected to Emily's snide remarks, enjoying each day freely. As it was hard for Mike to raise Sophie alone, we suggested he move in with us. Dan and I decided to help with raising her. On days when Mike had to work overtime or on weekends, I, who returned from work earliest, would pick Sophie up from daycare. Sophie, resembling her father, was a very kind child. She would make beaded jewelry and give them to Dan and me on our birthdays, along with letters. I look forward to her future. The three of us adults want to warmly watch over Sophie's growth.